For my hiring thing also, I asked, sorry, Mazin, not to say that I would not hire anybody from Bombay, but I do ask that question that where did you grow up, and that just gives me a little bit more sort of context around the person that one is looking at hiring as well.
Welcome to episode 145 of Founders Unfiltered. I'm Aviral here with Mazin. We've been running this podcast for over 5 years, and the goal's always been simple: unscripted, honest conversations with Indian founders about what it really takes to build a company. Today's guest is Mayank Kumar, the co founder and CEO of BorderPlus, a healthcare focused platform enabling Indian nurses to access global opportunities. Before BorderPlus, Mayank co-founded upGrad, one of India's largest edtech companies, which today serves over 2 million learners and has raised more than $600 million in capital. With BorderPlus, Mayank is taking a very different but I think equally ambitious path, building at the intersection of healthcare and global mobility. There's obviously a big angle of education here. In just its early innings, the company has raised more than 7 million in funding and set its sights on crossing 100 crores in revenue in the next 2 years. With expansion across US, UK, Europe, GCC, and Asia planned, it's going to be a very interesting few 5 years for Mank and team. In this episode, we'll dive into Mank's journey, which is quite interesting, from IIT to ISB to building two very different ventures, and now how he's carrying those lessons into building Border Plus. Mank, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Arvind. Thank you for having me here today.
So, Mank, we'll start with the rapid fire, usually just to know things beyond what we may hear.
But you have not
Uh,
sent me the question of the rapid fire yet, so
so the first question is, who's a founder or leader you'd blindly back?
I think Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs definitely. Yeah.
Understood.
One book, film, or mental model that shaped how you think.
One book, I would say Zero to One by Peter Thiel. Definitely had a big impact on how I think about ventures and companies.
What's a myth about edtech startups in India you wish more people knew?
There's a lot more focus on tech than on ed, and that has to change in the ed tech ecosystem. I think the ed tech word should sort of go away overall.
Interesting. Hmm.
Your go to ritual or daily habit before starting work.
Either a long run or a hit at the gym. Definitely sort of quite particular about the health. It changed during COVID. Before that, I was very casual, very relaxed, but during COVID, health became one of the most important thing to take care of.
Nice. How much do you run, Mank, if you want to
Um,
share?
no, so I think over the weekday it's about close to 10ish, like, and then over the weekend it's 15, 20.
Wow.
Uh, I did the Comrades of 90 kilometers, which was a 10-hour run or 9-hour 44 minutes run in
Wow.
South Africa. So for that you have to train a lot, a hell lot.
Yeah, I think endurance is a founder thing uh, as well. Like for this year, I have not skipped working out any day, like
Oh, fantastic,
all
fantastic.
days. So
Fantastic. No, I'm not that particular. I still take one day rest day in the week.
in the week.
Usually it's Tuesday or Wednesday, one of these 2 days for the
Hmm.
body to recover.
Nice. If Border Plus didn't exist today, what would you be building?
Upgrade.
Okay. If you were not building upgrade or Border Plus, what would you be building?
No, I think fair. It's a good question. So if I was not doing that, I am passionate about early schooling and kids schooling. So something to do in education in the sort of let's say grade 5 to grade 10, or running a school myself at some point of time.
Nice.
What's an AI tool or use case that surprised you?
That was a very interesting one that you would sometimes wake up to a chat group early in the morning and you have no clue what had happened, and there will be like 500 messages. So just download the chat messages and put it up on GPT to tell you the summary of the conversation and tell who was right, who was wrong, and who was actually not making any sense at all. So you don't have to go through the 500 chat messages in the system. and I think the text file does a very good job of it.
Very interesting. I will try that out. That's a good one. Mayank, for a lot of people who don't know about BorderPlus, how would you describe what the company does and whom you're serving?
Still a rapid fire or slightly different, but
No,
okay, no, I'll
fine.
do it.
We moved. The rapid fire's over.
Yeah, no, no. I think for us, so Border Plus is a platform that we're building for ethical pathways for helping talent in emerging markets to connect to economies and opportunities in career in global economies. So we feel that there's a fair bit of. I mean, this is not a new phenomena. A lot of people are moving abroad. A lot of people live abroad, and I think the recent H1B ecosystem conversation definitely brings it out a whole lot. But it's not run very ethically, and it's not run with the right systems. It's not run. It's a broken system. So we feel there are about 280 million migrant workers living internationally. About 20-25 million people move across countries every year, but still the system is very broken. There's about $1 trillion of salary that goes to the migrant workers, and we feel that if we can solve for that entire sort of migration between using skilling, using recruitment tech, and sort of integration, there is a large opportunity for one to build, and that's what we are excited about at Border Plus.
Maybe rewinding a little, what was your early life like? Where did you grow up? Were there any entrepreneurial experiences around you? How was your journey? Maybe till ISB.
So look, I grew up in a it's a very small town in Assam called Bongaigaon. Like hardly about 800 people as families living there. Oil township. So oil, dad used to work in oil refinery. Mom was a teacher. So grew up there. Hardly. I mean, we used to have two sections in the school. Kendriya Vidyalaya. Only two sections. One will have 30-35 kids, another will have 30-35 kids, and after 10th it will merge into one section because people will move out of the space. So it was like a very small sort of place to grow up in. And I think I had no idea that what I would do after my sort of schooling, because when you grow up, I don't know what about you guys, but if you grow up in those towns, there's awareness is very limited. Mazin and I were talking. He said he grew up in Bombay, so compared to Mumbai, at least for me, I had no idea what would happen. And then around grade seventh or sixth, seventh, eighth, somebody told me that there's a thing called IIT, uh, and from our school, nobody had made it. Um, there were hardly anybody who used to apply. I don't know if this was around 2001. So when I finished and I was looking at applying for JE, around that time the mains and prelims had started. So you have to take a prelim, and if you clear, then you sit for mains. So you'll go for prelims to Guwahati because Guwahati would be the only center that you can land up in. And you go there and you take the prelims. And when you come for the mains, there will be only 15 kids sitting for mains because people were not aware of taking JE at that point of time. So my growing up was a very average, typical small town sort of journey. Could not speak proper English. Could not have held a conversation meaningfully in a larger gathering. But my parents were sort of very helpful in guiding me and navigating through various situations, and said, "Look, might as well do this engineering." In engineering, there are these 16 colleges or 17 colleges which are very important for you to apply and get through. So I think that awareness was the first time I figured it out. And in the journey in school, Aviral Mazin had no idea about entrepreneurship, and I think we never used to call it entrepreneurship. Then we used to call it business, and it was seen as negatively. My family, business was seen not as a positive thing. If you're doing business, then you're definitely making a cut, or you're making somewhere you're making a shortcut, or you're making a thing which is not ethically correct. So my dad used to buy stocks, very interestingly, in Assam. And that time the stock market used to come in a newspaper and used to check out the prices. And he bought some shares, and he did not have the courage to tell his dad, my grandfather, that he has bought stocks, because trading was also seen negatively in the family values that I grew in, or trading or investing. Forget trading. Trading was like not even thought and considered. But anyway, so that was the early journey. That's how sort of one grew up and fell in love with math science. Got into Delhi. First time coming out of town into a bigger city. So again, that exposure sort of widened a lot because suddenly you are surrounded by highly smart people. I thought I was smartish, and then you land up there, and then you realize, oh, I mean, this is absolutely you are in no man's land, and you have nothing, no right to be in that space. I think it was good fun. Met lifelong friends. We still connect. We still meet up once a year. So had that sort of very strong bonding because for the first time when you sit living outside your house in a hostel is when like you form some very strong connect. So that time IIT Guwahati was coming up. So my mother was joined Guwahati. I said, "Anil, okay, for the first time I'm moving out. Let me move out little far away so that it's not easily accessible for you or not for me to come back home that sort of easily." So Delhi was great fun. Enjoyed a lot. I would say there my biggest learning was problem solving. That was from me that what I picked up. And then look after that, maybe before that, even IIT and others. I was talking to somebody. I said my life has been like bhir chal. It's been like what everybody is doing. I'm also doing. So after 12th, engineering around late 90s, 2000 was like most critical thing for people to do. So I did engineering. After completing engineering, people said that's the first time when McKinsey, BCG were coming to India. So they said you should do consulting. There's a new thing called consulting, and consultants solve problems and do something. And with not much of an idea, I joined Tata Group, and Tata Group had a entity called Tata Strategic Management Group, which used to do consulting. So I did consulting. Then they said after doing consulting, you should do MBA. So then I went to ISB and I did MBA again. And after ISB, they said now you should go and move up the tier of consulting to a higher tier consulting. So in that Bhirchal moment, I joined Parthenon. And Parthenon was the place where I actually got into education for the first time in my life. Again, not by design, but just by accident.
Yeah, they do a lot of education
Yeah, a lot
consulting.
of
That's
education stuff and fell in love with education there. I think very funny story that at Parthenon, I would not have made into Parthenon because I was like the day zero thing. Everybody gives you an offer and then nobody makes a final. Everybody shortlist you, but nobody makes an offer. So I got a wait list offer at Parthenon, and Parthenon gave us a salary at that point of time of close to about. I think the starting salary was about 40-45 lakh rupees.
correct. Yeah, very high.
So it was a significantly high salary. Did that for 4 or 5 years, and then got into VC because everybody said after consulting you should do VC. So that was the VC era that sort of I got in. And then around 2000, so a lot of my friends, Aviral and Mazin, started building their own venture around 2009, 10, 11. So in that Bhir Chal moment, they said now you should become an entrepreneur. So I said okay, I'll become an entrepreneur. So there is nothing fascinating in this, but and that's where the journey from ISB then to consulting and then sort of upgrad started. But on a serious note, I would say that while bhirchal is a good word to sort of put up to my career because it's a typical career that most people would have sort of aspired or worked around, I would also say my journey has been a lot of accidents in the process. I think not a whole lot happened because I planned for it.
Right.
uh, it just happened by accident. For me, getting into IIT was accident. The Tata Strategic Group email went to my junk folder. Uh, I had to just find it out and then apply, and that just again was accident. ISB put me on wait list. I did not get through at ISB. My wife got through all. We met before, so we knew each other. So she got into ISB, she got into ABC, LIK, everything, and she had an offer. I did not have an offer from any IIMs except Lucknow, and then ISB put me on waitlist, and then ISB happened again by accident. The placement I told you I was waitlisted in that company at Parthenon, accident. Bertelsmann, I would say, was the only one thing which just happened with some sort of design, and then met Ronnie by accident. And so I think for me, I'm thankful that I got exposed to things and I met with certain serendipity and accident that helped me build the career that I have today.
Hmm.
Nothing was planned. So I can't say in hindsight, I can say everything was planned, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, nothing was planned.
Oh, I love the honesty, by the way, and you're making it sound a little effortless in terms of what you've done, because a lot of people want to do what you did, but they never end up doing it. So very nice. One thing we've observed, and Mazin and I keep joking about it, is that a lot of entrepreneurs that we talk to start in small towns. It's very rare to find entrepreneurs that we grew up in Bombay, grew up in Delhi. I don't know, we speculate that it's because you've gone out of your comfort zone even as a kid. You are okay doing those things. Maybe there's a pattern there.
No,
Uh,
there is something there, and I'll tell you my experience at upGrad also, right? I mean, we have a lot of candidates coming and learning these data science, machine learning, MBA program.
right,
The most typical persona is somebody who grew up in some place in UP, Bihar, or Madhya Pradesh, etc., and now working in Bangalore.
right.
So there is a phenomena that they want to prove something,
Yeah, correct.
and
That's
I
right.
think that phenomena of proving something has been what sort of driving a lot of people. And it's something, and therefore for my hiring thing also, I asked, sorry Mazin, not to say that I would not hire anybody from Bombay, but
No,
but I do ask that question, that where did you grow up, and
Yeah.
that just gives me a little bit more sort of context around the person that one is looking at hiring as well.
Yeah, no, no. Makes a lot of sense. When I was in college, I didn't go to Delhi, I went to Bombay.
Yeah,
Um,
where is that?
IIT Bombay.
But
Uh,
which institution is that? Sorry, I'm
which
just
is
joking. I'm just
okay. Okay, it was a joke.
sorry.
Yeah, I went to then after that I went to Wimvy, which is how
Yeah, yeah,
they make IMA
correct.
difficult to find. But anyway, I was talking about IIT Bombay because you spoke about education. So I had started a startup when I was in college. I didn't even know what it was, and the idea there was bringing access to kids in non-metros to
Uh,
opportunities. And for us, non-metros like Bhopal, not where you went. That's
yeah,
like really small town.
yeah,
But
yeah.
even Bhopal and Bombay has a huge disparity in terms of,
Massive.
yeah, they don't know. So um, I've always had this fascination of some sort of equalization and just giving access to opportunity.
In fact,
Uh,
on that one, I'll just add, by growing up, I never had a coaching, so to say, institute, right?
yeah,
Because these places, if a teacher knows 5 questions that came in J, that in itself was a big deal.
yeah.
So the questions used to come to me on correspondence. I don't know if
Oh,
you remember that time.
brilliant tutorials.
Brilliant tutor used to be there. And then Vidyaman, they started correspondence.
Yes.
So they had glossy covers and nice looking covers, and Brilliant was like just and then like typical fatafat karke nikalo kind of a material. And then I used to get 3 phone calls in a year to speak to the teachers, to clarify a doubt, and I would sit down and take the exam, clear the papers, and then put it up in a courier and send it across to Delhi. So the teacher would then sign it and send it back. That was the early form, and I was talking to somebody. It is hindsight that I can say that was the earlier form of education or ed tech in some way. Technology happened to be courier, which is what they were using, but trying to sort of bring what you exactly said, like try to bring it to the small town. And it was insane. Like I would just wait, and he will say, "Okay, just 5 minutes में sir आ रहे हैं." And on the PCO, you will see the amount ticking that you will call it from the STD ISD PCO, and you will only have this much time to sort of have a conversation and get some answers. So that's how early form of edtech would be. I'd sort of put it first.
No, awesome. Now you have ChatGPT.
Now you have Chat GPT. Yeah.
How did you start upgrad? Like, what was the journey? You mentioned you accidentally met Ronnie too.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Thinking about it,
No, no. So, look, I was at Bertelsmann investing in the education space. So we're investing in Series A, B, C kind of company. That time, Series B used to be at 8 million. That was the round size of Series B. Today, Series B has changed completely. But look, I felt this was again um, in all humility. I felt that I knew education, having spent 5 years in looking at education sector and then getting joining the VC space. I felt I was amongst the top 2 3 people in the world who knew education. That was my internal feeling. I always felt that, look, there's nobody better than me who understands education in the world. And with that mindset, I mean, I used to sort of whatever help people, etc. So Ronnie connected via ex-colleague of mine, stating that, look, why don't you meet Ronnie and then have a conversation? And he wanted to understand more about the education sector. And Ronnie being Ronnie, he was fully ready. I being I, analysis paralysis, I was saying, okay, like let me go and meet and see what happens. And then Ronnie popped the question saying that, would you like to start together because you have many ideas? Let's work on something. And I said no, because it was around that time my son was born. So my son and upgrad are just 1 year apart. Son was born and then upgrad came in exactly a year. So that's a separate story altogether. But my son was born. I was very happy. I was earning like a lot of money and good work and good environment, etc. And then I took a trip to Japan and I thought about it a whole lot. And I think came to a conclusion that, like, I definitely wanted to do something. I wanted to do something. There was a kida at the back of my mind to doing something. Visited a lot at that point of time to Frisco to understand. And that time in 2013, if you visit San Francisco, every kid today is doing AI. Every kid was trying to do something in the appy space and building something interesting to sort of scale. And that was the thought that I had. But you know what? I think um, sometimes you need something for you to give that push, and it's important at different points of time. I knew education. I knew what I wanted to build. I knew how I would go about building it. I think everything was confirmed, and at least in my mind, very clear. And that's the time I went to a place in Greater Noida, and I've spoken about this in many places. I don't know if any one of you have been to Greater Noida. Yeah. So Greater Noida is a place where if you throw a stone, you hit an engineering college. That's densely populated with engineering college. So I went to one engineering college, which was in like very very far place, and landed up there. Went up the stairs. Guard did not know what was happening inside the building, and there were four kids studying. I think two were from I think maybe Bhopal and Bengal and Bihar. I think that part of the country. And when I asked them that, look, what are you doing? They say, no, sir, आना पड़ता है because attendance hoti hai and therefore I study and therefore this happens. And I burst out laughing. And that was my penny dropping moment that, look, I knew education. I feel I knew education the best. And I'm seeing this situation where the quality of education is so pathetic that these kids have to spend, the parents have to spend this and that and send the kids over here. And that was my penny dropping moment that, look, I need to do something. I can't be an armchair critique. Uh, and that actually flipped me over to that sort of contest with Ronnie that, look, let's now, I have an idea. I want to work. I want to build on it. And I will step by step sort of continue to build the entire sort of business. And with Ronnie, the advantage, sorry, I just went longer, but with Ronnie, the advantage was that he wanted to bring in more permanent capital. Like at least he was thinking that it's a long-term capital, and that's what he wanted to bring in. And that's why I said that, look, I don't want to build business for the next round of funding, because that's not what excited me. I wanted to build the business because I wanted to solve something in that in the space of higher education. So that's a long and short story of how upgrad came into sort of existence, etc.
That's incredible. And so, walk us through kind of the next phase of your upgrad journey.
uh,
Uh, you knew what
yeah.
you wanted to build. You had a clear vision. You got that little nudge that kind of pushed you into it. What happened?
No, so I think then upgrad started. It was a time. It was an era at that point of time, as in when the world was. I don't know if you remember. 2011 was seen as called as the year of the MOOCs. 2012 was called the death of the MOOCs. 2013 was called by New York Times the resurrection of MOOCs. So every year there was a psyche going on. And my thesis at that point of time was very clear that, look, education is not about content dissemination. You can't just put content online on YouTube and expect everybody to learn. It has to bring in content, technology, and whatever the human-led services together. So the thesis was to offer full stack education. And we went and started. We launched our first program in entrepreneurship. Why? Because we felt we knew entrepreneurship, or at least we felt we knew entrepreneurship, and we could design the program and module accordingly. We launched the program. We got about 200 people joining in. We were surprised and we were very happy. That looked great, and that's a great thing because people want to learn entrepreneurship online, paying 50,000 rupees for the program. So we're very happy. But our real sort of like the real product market fit feeling, like you sometimes feel PMF in your stomach. You don't feel it in your, you don't see it in the numbers, you don't see anywhere, but it just your stomach makes you feel that look, something has hit right. We launched a program at Triple IT Bangalore at 2 lakh rupees, where everyone was doing the data science program at, I think, 50,000, rupees. Ours was the most expensive. It was, yeah, we just went, yeah, a 9 month long program where everybody was offering short duration. And we said, look, this is it, because we felt we brought in some understanding of the market that look, you can't you can't get educated unless you have spent enough time in learning. We launched it and we wanted to get 100 students, because 100 students at 2 lakh rupees would mean 2 crore of revenue, which is very good. We reached 100 very quickly. We opened up the enrollment to the next 100. We closed 200 immediately. And then we went on to closing the entire batch at 300. We got oversubscribed 3 times than what we had anticipated. And that's the time we felt that, look, this is it. This is the product market fit that we wanted to hit. And hitting 6 crores of revenue, and that time 6 crore was equal to $1 million. It is a long time back, or closer to $1 million. So we were very excited, and that was the time that we picked up. And I think the journey sort of went on from there. Then multiple other sort of experiences of product market fit came in, and each time we took that, scaled it up, took that and scaled it up. Uh, so that's the early part of the journey of sort of.
It's amazing, incredible. And now, want to talk about that transition. You went through this whole journey with upGrad. What made you decide that you want to start up again?
Yeah.
or
So look, upgrade was a. I mean, I would break down upgrade journey into three parts, phases. I think the first was just getting the product market fit, which is what we spent early time in. The second phase was scaling up. This happened around COVID. So I remember very distinctly in February, March in 2020, we had a total employee strength of 300. And in September, October of 2020, our total employee strength was about 1,000. So we went from 300 to 1,000 in that like very narrow. So two-thirds of the people, for an organization which was largely offline coming to office, uh, we had never seen them, our colleagues. We had never met them. The culture was not something that we could sort of get it done because everybody was on Zoom. I mean, coming to office, but most people were not coming to the office. We had taken up a hotel where we camped people. So I would say the phase two was such rapid growth. We learned a lot. We made mistakes. We went on. And I think the current phase is about consolidation and path to taking it to IPO, and that's the journey that we are currently sort of doing. But at that point in time, was in my thought was I wanted to do something in the blue collar space, and upgrad was has been broadly a very white collar data science, MBA, machine learning, those kind of sort of program. And to do something in blue collar under the umbrella of upgrade, I could not, because upgrade had very clear target, very clear sort of TG defined. And that's the time I felt that look, because upgrade was in a path and Ronnie was playing a very active role at upgrade, I thought that I had an opportunity, or at least a ticket, to take a slightly less operating role, uh, and build something new, grounds up. Because this one space I feel very deeply about, that unless we help the blue collar workers move up in their careers, we won't see the significant jump in their own sort of journey. So that's why the Border Plus came in. And the other thesis was that if you do something in blue collar, you can't make money, because
okay, so
the
that was the thought from day one.
see, it's very difficult to make money because the salary that the workers, I mean, let's say a nurse or a plumber or electrician or anybody makes
Hmm.
is so low that they can't pay you for skilling. And that's why a lot of blue collar skilling happens under CSR umbrella.
Yeah.
So for us, the thought process was, look, if we can do something for this strata of the career professionals, and instead of targeting them a job in India, can we target them a job internationally? And that's the entire sort of genesis of Border Plus, because there's an upside in salary, and
Mm.
that's where you can come and pay for skilling, getting trained, and getting deployed.
Interesting. So you kind of saw this gap where you can kind of leverage that
Yeah,
labor arbitrage almost in reverse, give people an opportunity up front. That's interesting. But I wanted to ask, I mean, how do you build trust in that space? Because
very
especially
different.
talking about this it is, right? And there's a lot
Very,
of stories of exploitation and
yeah.
all of these horrible things that you hear. So how did you go about building trust?
No, so I think we are early days. I think we just been about 7, 8 months in our journey. So trust is to be built. It's not sort of built. But trust. See the thing. Let me give you an example of what a nurse goes through. A nurse in India earns anywhere between 15 to 20, 30,000 rupees a month, roughly. That's what they earn. The same nurse, if they're trained in German and they're ready and they're skilled and they get absorbed in Germany, they earn to the tune of about 3.5 lakh rupees to 4 lakh rupees. So for a nurse, it's a 10 times jump in the salary. It's a significant jump in the salary, and that's what the nurses sort of aspire for, because they get a higher salary, they can save more, a better quality of life, a better. It's life, and it's life changing to the extent that not just for themselves but for the entire family. The entire family sort of goes through a significant change in their lifestyle, the way they sort of operate, the way they work, and for us to build trust, even at upgrad we did not have trust. Nobody would come to us and pay us 2 lakh rupees. So we partnered with universities and credible institutions. So here again, we are using partnership as one sort of layer of building trust and creating trust. So we partnered with VFS, which is the largest sort of visa platform. We are partnering with NSDC, which is a government entity for skilling. We acquired a company in Germany, which is essentially a fair recruiter provider in the German market in the healthcare space. So I think a whole lot of that is working out for us to build trust overall. Uh, to build trust in their ecosystem, and that's what sort of we are working on at this point of time, to ensure that partnerships will allow us to build trust. And the only way we can build trust, Mazin, in this space is if our nurses see that they are going abroad. So our first set of nurses are now going abroad, and there's no better way of driving trust than word of mouth, and that's what sort of we are focusing on doing right now.
Amazing. In talking about macro trends, I mean, you're building in a pretty difficult space where you're at the mercy of geopolitics. How
Yeah,
do you mitigate that, and how do you think about that risk?
there is risk. I think no business comes any without any risk, and we feel that the macro thesis is so strong. Uh, the macro thesis is so strong that these risks will not have an impact on what you're trying to build. And I think you have to realize that India's average age is about 27, 28, or 30-year old. Germany's average age is 47. Japan is at 51. So as those economies age, there is no way that they can have those skilled workers in their own society. So they will have to import those workers, because there's a declining fertility rate. If you look at the fertility rate across the world, most countries, almost all countries, are below the replacement rate. Europe has gone to a level where, at the current fertility rate, there's no way that they can survive as a society in the next 50 to 70 years. And therefore, talent migration is the only solution that can help them sort of overcome that. And look, when you look around the world, the India, for that matter, does not have too many natural resources. So for India, people is our biggest natural resource. So when I look at risk, I see this fact that, look, is it something that can be avoided? I don't see this can be avoided, and therefore, yes, there is going to be ups and downs in sort of risk coming in, but people will look at going abroad. I'll give you one example. India used to send about 50,000 kids, students, um, for study abroad every year in 2010, 11. Today, India sends 10 lakh kids for study abroad every year. Every year, some country comes and cuts down the visa. Some country gets stricter. Some country gets. but Indians go abroad. So our macro trend in US, UK, etc. may have gone fluctuated, but a very macro secular trend, Indians will go abroad and they continue to go abroad on a over a long term horizon.
No, and your point about demographics is really relevant. It's, in a lot of the developed world, Japan, Europe, you have aging populations.
And now the FTA that we sign, all FTAs that we are signing has a special clause on talent mobility and people mobility. Every one has a specific point to say that what we are doing in terms of talent mobility out here. And one of the macro trend that one needs to know is, as I say, the total international migrants are about 280 million. 170 million out of those are actually working. So out of 280 million, 170 of them actually work. So that's the working population. 20 million move every year across border. Uh, so that itself is about 50 to $100 billion TAM. And the salary of these migrant workers is about $1 trillion plus. So at a macro level, there is no infrastructure that has been built like we have in other places, and that's what we are hoping to build and sort of create. Not an easy job, and I think people sometimes, many people, including me, at times ask that question: what was the need for doing it once again? But I guess it's an exciting opportunity, an exciting field to crack and solve.
Amazing. And Mayank, given the space and it, India is such a large market, like you said, um, very competitive. There are also a lot of local players. There have been many institutions that have been doing this for a while, like the smaller scale, of course. What is your edge that will help you scale, in your opinion?
Yeah,
What
and
is the
I'll ask
difference?
you, yeah. So before I answer that question, I'll just ask a very simple thing. So we're looking at acquisition of nurses, right? And Kerala is a very large market. All of us know that
Correct.
Kerala nurses sort of go abroad. And we come from this market of some places Google work, some places Facebook work, etc. Here's a question back to you: which is the biggest source of nurse acquisition in a market like Kerala? Like,
Source.
yeah, like
Okay.
acquisition channel.
Country.
Like, no, which
Oh,
acquisition channel works the
acquisition
best?
channel.
Uh,
Oh, I don't know. I'm guessing training institutes. No.
so the biggest one there is the Sunday Mass in churches.
Oh,
So you land up in
no.
the church.
Love
The
it.
father would say that, guys, look, Germany is hiring, phenomenal country. They are whatever, Catholic, Protestant, they are there, and you should sort of do this. And my friend Sebastian Sir is here after the mass. Please go and meet him, and he will tell you how you can land up in Germany. So the acquisition is that sort of local. Uh, and these markets exist. And I think what we have realized, Aviral Mazin, is that the entire value chain, there are about 6 to 7 actors. There is a church, there is an Uncle Sebastian, who's a local sort of sourcer. He knows somebody at Kochi or in Trivandrum, who is the main sort of agent. This agent works with a sub agent in Germany who sort of collects all the jobs. That sub agent works with a master agent in Germany, and that master agent works with the hospital or the healthcare institution. And then when a nurse comes to one of the agents, says, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." He says, "Okay, fine, I'll find you a job." Then this person calls up the agent in Germany saying, "Do you have a job?" "Hey, I don't have a job, but I can get a job in 2 3 weeks. So I'll get you a job." And that's how the entire, it's like the old form of stock market trading happen. And that's how it's happening today. So for us, Avil, to your question, that we feel it has to come under one single umbrella, where we need to own training. So we have our own training institution now at 6 locations. It's in Pune, Kochi, Chennai, Delhi, one in Sao Paulo in Brazil, and one in Philippines, Manila. So we train across these 6 locations. And training is fully owned by us. We don't outsource, we don't work with anybody. The second one for us was owning the entire recruitment stack. So we acquired a company in Germany, which is a part of fair recruitment process. So I have access to jobs. So I don't recruit candidates till I have jobs. The chances of that fake and sort of dropouts reduce. And then the integration stack is the third one. So once the candidate lands, what all services do you offer, or sort of what all products do you offer that can help integrate them better into the ecosystem. So we have a license where we can run integration programs, etc. But in the process of this, while we are doing this, we can't live away from AI because everybody has to talk about AI. If you don't talk about AI, the conversation is not ending. So we actually thought that when the teachers are speaking, there's a lack of teachers in India. We don't have too many German speakers. So what we did was we created these. We thought we'll create AI speaker teachers, but then we changed the model to saying that we are now working with about 500 nurses. These nurses are giving us the daily scenarios that they have to go through on a day-to-day basis. And these scenarios are then pedagogically prompted and created into a conversational agent. So a nurse therefore gets to exercise and live through about 200, 300 hours of living in Germany without landing up in Germany. Like how do you deal with an angry patient? How do you talk to a doctor who's stern and sort of not listening to you? How to talk to a dementia patient? How do you talk to a patient who's refusing medication? So having everything under the single umbrella is where we feel the biggest differentiation comes. The upgrade journey, Aviral, was that the market had to be created. In this, I don't have to create the market. In this, I just have to aggregate and sort of consolidate the market. So while it seems good on paper, it just doesn't work out when you're actually executing.
I liked all the parallels you drew, especially with like just organizing it and the Sunday Mass. A very good insight. It's fascinating. The entrepreneurs are always searching for acquisition channels, and
Yeah,
I can see that you found a very interesting one.
yeah.
What does 2030 look like for Border Plus?
So yeah, 2030. I have so the my thesis is that the depth in the market is not a question.
Hmm.
The execution is a whole lot sort of more important in this ecosystem. I expect 2030, which is let's say 5 years or whatever, 4 years from the current context. We should be again. If you talk numerically, I have some numbers. If you talk about this thing, because all those things are sort of embedded in my mind, but
Hmm.
we should be at a place where we are sending close to about 50,000 candidates every year out of India. If you are targeting that, there are about 2.5 million Indians who go abroad every year. About a
Oh,
million go for study abroad, a million for jobs, and 500,000 are spouses, partner, or dependent
right,
who go on
right.
dependent visa. So if you're 50,000,
Still 5%
we are not taking, no, it's not even 5%. 50,000 is,
on a million. On
yeah,
a
around
million, I'm assuming.
25% of the market of
Yeah,
what we are taking.
yeah,
And that the other beauty of this market is the outputs are much higher.
yeah. Right.
So you end up earning anywhere between 5,000, $10,000
Dollars per
person.
candidate. Yeah,
So at a 50,000 close to $5,000, you have a $250 million sort of running business. So that's on commercial terms and sort of numbers term and financial term. But I feel that by 2050 we would have built the entire stack uh, of of skilling, recruitment, and the integration, which will enable us to sort of launch new. See, there are new sort of permutation and combination because there are about 7 geographies in the world from migration, but there's US, UK, Canada, and ANZ. So all the other sort of English-speaking country put together. So three large destination markets there. There's a Europe one and a Europe two, the rich and the mainland, and then sort of the coastal Europe, and then the Middle East and Far East, Japan and Korea. So there are 7 geographies, and there are about 6 trades that we have picked up, which is healthcare, hospitality, teaching. Kindergarten teaching is one big one. There is retail, and then there is manufacturing and construction, and logistic and supply chain. So the 6 into 7 is 42, and 42 we feel that each sort of pathway can accommodate 2,000 to 3,000 people. That's what if you do 3,000, then you're talking about 150,000 people migrating from the platform every year. 150,000 people at the space which we are talking about. We should be able to build $1 billion business in that ecosystem. So that's what we are aspiring to. But we feel that this 50,000 people who will go, let's say in 2030, for those 50,000, there are about, I would say, close to about 500,000 people whose life will get impacted. These people moving, their family moving, their household. Indians send abroad about $137 billion worth of remittance back to the country. Our oil import is about $110 billion. Uh, so there is enough money that comes in from Indians living abroad. So we feel that it's economically net positive our ecosystem, and hopefully we can play a very small role in making it much more structured and seamless in the process.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting market with a lot of opportunity
Yeah,
fundamentally to build into.
and less sexy. It's not. Yeah, it's not sexy.
Yeah, unsexy markets with talented teams are like a lethal combination. I mean, I've been investing for 8 years, 9 years now, so that's a it's a holy grail combination as well.
First
Obviously, you
is
have
true.
to play.
I think first we have unsexy
Yeah,
market. We don't know whether we have the lethal team or not, or the
I do.
lethal.
I'm pretty sure you do. You're checking both the boxes.
No,
Yes.
no.
Um, and just to close out, what's one piece of unfiltered feedback you've received that has shaped your journey as an entrepreneur? That's why I call this Founders
Ah,
Unfiltered.
no, I think my biggest one, and that has become like my mantra of life since I've received it. Uh, it's a very simple advice that I think too much, uh, and I realized that because I think too much, then I thought too much about why I think too much, because that is the advice that was given to me. No, I think because of the analytical background, sometimes you take a lot of time to come to a decision, and the reason is that given the kind of academic background that you have had, you always want to take the right decision. So my biggest advice has been that do not optimize on percentage of right decision, just optimize on the number of right decision. Even if your percentage is, if you're making 50 decision and 49 are right, you make 100 decisions and 70 are right, it's better off to make 70 right decision than 49 right decisions. So sometimes as entrepreneurs we obsess a lot about making the right decision, but it is mostly important that how many decisions are you making, and if your throughput of decision making is the highest, I think your business will really sort of rocket off or scale off really well.
Very interesting. I've heard the diametrically opposite as well. That make very little decisions, don't make decisions, remove decisions. I agree actually. I mean, I
This
think.
also I agree to that. Removing decisions are very important. That is
Hmm.
like you should not even have an option. When people give me an option, breakfast mein kya chahiye, I feel very scared because I don't want options. Like give me whatever that is there. And I think the one alternative of that is if you take a lot of decision, is sometimes you have to know where you cannot take a decision, and
Decision,
therefore
yes.
it's already taken for you without you thinking about. I think you can write a book on decision making. That's one of the most
I think we can do a follow-up podcast with you on just decision making as an entrepreneur. That's what we should do. Mayank, thank you so much for sharing your journey and thoughts. It's very fun speaking with you. You know that current was throughout our conversation as well.
same.
Um, and I think taking yourself seriously and not taking yourself seriously is very important as an entrepreneur. And thank you for sharing, and wishing you a lot of luck as you build this out. It's a very interesting time to build a cross border talent company with all the geopolitical stuff happening, including India.
Correct. No, thank you very much, and thanks for taking your time to speak to me despite partly being under weather and not feeling well. But thanks a lot. It was lovely chatting with you guys as well.